Hey friends, tax time is over for this year, but what better time to start getting your books in order for next year so that you don't have to be scrambling and panicking at the last second. Also, I have just recently taken Molly on as an accountant for my home expenses because she has proved to be so helpful with my business expenses. So if that's not a recommendation, I don't know what is. Check out Molly Morris at M3 Virtual Accounting and get a free consult to see if she can help you with what you need. M3virtualaccounting.com. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Some Spoiled, a Song of Ice and Fire 2. The co-host Switcheroo, the rereading. Return to Westeros, HBO Spoiler Edition, uncut, uncensored, too hot for TV, bringing you the greatest hits from, 2011, probably? Call in with your requests on the Discords. In this episode, RoShawn and I are going to be talking about chapters 4 and 5. Brienne and Samwise. No, Samwell. Samwise is the other one. The other fat Sam who helps his friend. In these chapters, you know what I'm talking about.
The other fat Sam.
You know, there's Samwise and then there's Samwell, and they both kind of serve a function that feels not unlike.
You are not incorrect.
In these chapters, Brienne is on a mission to find Sansa Stark, but other people are also looking for Sansa Stark. And Sam finds out he's going to become a Maester and is not excited. Welcome to Unspoiled.
Monsters are dangerous, and just now, kings are dying like flies.
I am the king!
Fuck the king.
Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
All right, so we have another POV that we haven't had yet. Brienne.
Yeah, this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was very excited to open the page and see her name. And being in her POV is, or at least this chapter, was a little bit sadder than I expected. You know,
how so?
Well, it's one thing to be on the outside hearing everyone else's opinion of Brienne, especially in those Jaime chapters. But, you know, we heard a little bit from Kat in her chapter. You know, we've heard other people talk about her. But to be in her POV, where she is aware, she is hyper aware of just how unattractive she is, how freakish her words, you know, that she is. And how she has to steel herself against the insults and comments that people lob at her. And, you know, we've been, like I said, we've been watching people talk about her in this way for a long time, but now we get to see how that makes her feel and how she feels about herself.
Yeah.
And the story she tells about Renly, about why she loves Renly.
Yeah, he made her feel graceful.
Yeah, he made her feel like she wasn't a freak. He treated her like, she said something like he treated her like she was a pretty maid. But I would even remove, I know the pretty part is very important because the whole thing about Brienne is just how ugly she is. She's not just, you know, tall for a woman or stout for a woman, you know. She's also, by every metric that we all accept, very, very unattractive.
Yeah.
You know, her face is just not put together in a way that makes you go, oh, there's a lovely looking young woman, you know? And she knows this about herself. And yet people remark on it as if it's not something she already knows.
Yeah.
You know? And
it's
then
like people calling me fat, and I'm like, what?
Shh, get out!
No
one told me.
I can't believe this. Oh my God!
So he just treats her. Renly treats her like a human person with feelings that deserves to be treated well.
Mm-hmm.
And it has such an impact on her that she loves him forever. And the minute she's of age and willing, able to make the choice, the first thing she does is like go find him and say, I want to be in your service.
Yeah.
Because that's how meaningful it was.
Which is what makes it so heartbreaking that everybody thinks she's the one who killed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I just enjoyed this, the chapter because it was fun to be in her POV, because we know how, what's the word I'm looking for? How loyal she is and how seriously she takes her oaths. This is not like just child play. She doesn't just say shit to be saying it. When she says it, she really does mean it and really does have every intention of trying to follow through, even if it is incredibly naive to think that she could accomplish the goal. There's a line that says something about how the vow that you make to a dead person is somehow like the most important vow.
Yeah. And
a different person would be like, well, that whole family is dead now, so my oath is meaningless. You know what I mean? Like,
would be me.
Right? But Brienne is like, no, it's extra important now. And she's also just like, is as much as we've seen her throughout these books and all the things that she's been through, the fact that she is a little taken aback to be confronted with the fact that, yeah, there are other people looking for her, ma'am. What did you think was happening?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Once she realizes, she feels like a fucking idiot because she's like, I should have realized. Oh my God, I feel so dumb.
Right, but like, how did you not think of that? But it's also, I think, low key, a testament to the idea that Brienne is so noble, right?
Mm-hmm.
That this mission for her is about a promise that needs to be kept. And for everybody else, it's about getting a bag.
Yeah.
And like her brain just doesn't work that way.
Yep.
In her mind, she is completing a very solemn thing that she's sworn to do. And it's, she's the only one out there looking because she has this oath to Lady Cat. And it's like, ma'am, no. Sansa is wanted around the world. Everybody's looking for her.
Yeah, I really wish that like she had one other person with her to curb her tendencies towards being so. I don't even know if naive is the right word. I guess it is. It feels
pure. It's
like
a purity that borders on naivety. Is it naivete?
Naivete.
I don't like saying it like that. I know that's how you say it, but it's like fiance. That's another word. Not a big fan of.
Fiance, my poor baby.
Has anyone seen my fiance? I seem to have lost my fiance.
The one that my grandmother always used to say in such a way was mature instead of mature, and I fucking hated that. She's very mature. No, she's not. No, she's not. Nope, nobody is that. You know what I'm talking about.
I really do.
But anyway,
so this Brienne's chapter starts with her traveling alone, and she is just asking everybody and their mama, have you seen a girl about 13 and 10 with blue eyes and auburn hair?
You mean 3
traveling
and 10?
With a Is it 3 and 10? What did I say? 4
yeah,
and 10?
You said 13 and 10, which would be 23.
And 10. That's not right. That's not right at all. And she's not getting any information from any of these people. And I forgot where I was going with that. I got distracted by the 13 and 10.
Sorry.
That's okay.
But she's asking everybody about this, beautiful girl with auburn hair. I love one of the guys at one point is like, what sort of hair is auburn? Brownie red. Which, I guess that's true. That's exactly it.
I guess that is.
Bran. Something disrespectful sounding about it, but yes.
I was about to say exactly. I was going to use the word disrespectful. The thing is, so we know that the way that Sansa traveled is not by road, right?
Correct.
We were there. We saw it. We know that she, disappeared into the night on a ship with Littlefinger. So these people have not seen her at all. Brienne is not in the right area, as far as I can tell, to run into anybody that would have seen them. Now, I do have a question.
Okay.
I know when she's talking about, you may have seen her traveling with either the portly knight or a fool, right? So I know who the fool is. Who is the portly knight that she thinks she might be traveling with?
They're the same guy. They're both Sir Dantos. Because he was technically a knight, but then he got made into a fool to punish him.
Oh, so she's saying, depending on how he's dressing himself,
exactly,
he might appear to be a knight of 40 years, or he might look like a fool. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question for you is, because this is something, Brienne's POV can be a little bit divisive because of the fact that she is looking for Sansa, but she is so not even close to in the right place, at least to begin with. Does that frustrate you at all? Or are you all right with it?
Well, this is the very first chapter. I was not frustrated by it because, in fairness, at least the way I'm thinking about it, and Brienne even says it too. She has literally no idea.
Very much so.
Where Sansa can go.
All she's going with is she's not in the city. I know that.
Yeah, right. But that's it. That's the best she can do. And there's a part that I thought was especially poignant when Brienne is thinking, well, let me try to think of her. Where would I go? Where would I want to be trying to get back to? And she's like, well, I would be trying to get back to home, to my father. Oh, but wait, Sansa doesn't have that.
Yep.
She doesn't have a father or a mother or even a home to get to. So, I mean, it's a bummer that she's in the wrong place, but I'm not frustrated by it because I honestly, if she were on the right trail, I would really low key be like, how though?
Yeah.
How though?
I don't even think when I say that it can be kind of divisive, I think it's because the idea of being on what feels like a side quest and having really no information to go on is so daunting that even for some people as readers, they're just like, this is too, you just gotta guess. I don't want to watch you just wandering around and guessing, but there's also for me an aspect of enjoying seeing the rest of Westeros and what's going on in other places and the people that she runs into that we probably wouldn't have gotten around to seeing if it weren't for her POV, and just it gives you a sense of things in a different way.
Right.
And also being in her head is a little interesting because we haven't been there before.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% here for that and for her POV chapters. And I like your point about running into other people that are in this world that we might not meet otherwise. And she does. First of all, these two guys that she runs into.
Oh my God. They're so precious.
They are, but also I was really glad she left because I don't know how much more of that I could have taken.
Yeah.
I really did not need to. As traveling companions, I was already tired of them. And it was only one day that we spent with them.
That's fair.
But also they run into these begging brothers. And then we get a reveal a little bit into the interaction with them that they are the Sparrows.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got I remember a little bit about them from the show. I'm not interested in the particular plot point about what happened at King's Landing and all that from the show, but just the idea of oh, that's right. This sort of fanatical religious sect exists in this world, and they're out there. And I love too that, when they run into them, and I'm getting ahead of myself in this chapter, but, what has happened is, Westeros has been in a civil war for a couple years now. And there are all of these people that are just collateral damage. And
Yes.
like, what happens to them? You know, these battles are fought, and then the troops move on to the next battle. You know, and places are seized and sacked, and all this other shit and violence and trauma is happening, and people's fields are being burned. You know, and daughters raped and crops raised, and yeah, you know what? A lot of these poor people would get together in this fashion.
Yep.
You know, they would coalesce around like a sort of charismatic religious leader, you know, of course.
Yep.
And I don't know. I just really, and I don't know if you were in the POV of somebody, especially our more higher, well, she's highborn too, but but more of our air quotes main characters, you probably wouldn't run into the sparrows until they were about to be part of the story. You know,
right.
But I like that we just run into them and we meet them for a minute, and then they go on their way.
Indeed. So yeah, we start off with her thinking back to promising Jaime, and like you said, trying to think where Sansa would go, and realizing that none of the options that Brienne would pursue are available to Sansa, and she's like noticing how many travelers there are around. There's no leads. And she even has a moment after, like, you know, what seems to be a few weeks of this, where she's like, did Jaime just fucking like play me? Is he doing this as a joke to just send me on a mission that's not gonna Mission Impossible? And then cackle to himself when he knows that it's like not something that he even intended for me to accomplish. And then she has to be like, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of some big progress about what she thinks of Jaime, to say to herself he wouldn't do that.
Absolutely. Like that kernel of doubt lodges itself in her brain, and then she combats it, you know, and chooses to believe in his sincerity.
Yeah.
And reminds herself that he gave her the sword for a reason, and that he named it for her. Now granted, we had the benefit of being in Jaime's POV when this all happened, so we know that he was as sincere as he can be with this, right? You know,
that is fucked up, RoShawn.
Is he, you know, but you know what I mean.
Oh,
though,
I
right?
do.
Because he is very cynical in his core. So, you know, there probably is a little bit of I don't know if she's ever going to find the girl or not, you know. It doesn't matter to me. But in his heart, he really did mean this to be like a real thing for her to do. But she doesn't have that benefit of being in his POV. She just, you know, had this experience with him and has to decide if she's going to trust him in this. And she decides that she is. And that is remarkable considering where they started.
Yeah, I really like that it's, you know, it took a lot, and it took her like making him mad when he gave her the assignment, even because she says something like, if you think that I'm going to go and find her Sansa and bring her back to you Lannisters. And he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I had a whole thing. I'm trying to be nice and cool. And you just had to go and reach for the worst possible conclusion. But, you know, it seems like if she were to run into him now, she's had time to think and doesn't see him quite that way anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think would mean a lot to him.
You know, that's the thing too, is again, because he's so cynical, like, could he ever admit how much it meant to him?
Right. Yeah, very much.
But yeah, I want to mention too that she does think about Sansa leaving by ship. And she actually goes and asks around at the docks, but no one remembers a ship leaving that night.
Right.
So she does consider like that as a way that Sansa could have gotten out of King's Landing, but it just doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. And so that's why, you know, so she wasn't like, she was thorough.
Yes,
she could be,
definitely.
The information that she had available at the time. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and like we know also that Sansa has been dyeing her hair, and So, depending on who ran into her, at what point they run into her,
Mhm.
she is not going to look quite like herself anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and she's not traveling with anybody that matches the description that Brienne is giving. Yeah, and I don't know how this goes for the book. Like, is all the Brienne chapters just like her being at the wrong place to never actually finding Sansa, or I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. So she's traveling by herself, and she comes up upon like two gentlemen that are making dinner, two, I think, hedge knights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they offer her some of their fish. They think that she is a man, which is like an everyday thing for her.
Yep. Yeah, she has she doesn't have like an hourglass sort of figure, and she is so tall, and she's wearing armor with a helmet over her head so nobody can see her long hair. It all comes together to look very masculine. Yeah.
And she takes off her helm, and they're just like, oh. And then these two guys, right? So one is Sir Crichton Longbow, and then the other one is the Penniless.
Oh yeah, name. I'm trying to find his first name. Sir Illiffer the Penniless.
There it is. And so I think the one that's a little bit older, the Sir Longbow, whatever, he's like, maybe, I'm sure you've heard of me. You would have heard of my deeds on the Blackwater. I mean, the guys are talking about me. All the songs are about me right now.
This dude, they run into the poor fellows later, and he says something like, fresh from the Battle of the Blackwater. I'm like, there is nothing fresh about the Blackwater, sir. That shit was ages ago at this point. Like, you're trying to act like that shit just happened, and you're still bleeding from your wounds over it and everything.
He starts naming the people that he has, fought and vanquished, and nobody knows who these people are.
The Knight of the Red Chicken, which Austen does mention. There's a Stormland house, the Hurstons, that have a rooster as their sigil, so he might not be lying.
Oh my god!
Mm-hmm.
Is he the one? Is that the same bit about somebody has something that's got like a bloody chicken with a sword with blood on it that comes up?
That might be. I don't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, I was really curious. I don't think it's supposed to be anything seriously, or not anything that I could look into, but I was really curious about that. I'm like whose house is that?
I just keep thinking about the way that people get saddled with these these sigils that I just don't feel are respectable. I know we can't all be lions and wolves and shit, but I don't know.
Well, we meet the mouse guy in like 2 pages.
I mean, that's kind of cute.
The mad mouse guy?
Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, well, mice, they can surprise you.
Is that what
I'm also very small, and I'm called the Mad Mouse because normal mouse would run away from a fight, and I run towards a fight. So there you go.
Yeah, okay.
It's not that good. But come on, the red rooster, like a rooster sigil. I don't know. What are you saying with a rooster?
I mean, it could be like a inside cock joke. We don't know.
That's probably fucking exactly what it is. That sounds correct to me. And we've got the Fossaways, and their sigil's an apple, and they each have a different color apple. We have the red apples, and you have the green apples. Get a fucking sigil of your own. Stop it. Knock it off. And what's so great about an apple?
Listen, as a person who spent a lot of time on the internet making my own house sigil, remember when everybody was doing that and coming up with their own house words? That shit is daunting. It's not easy to pick something that, represents everything you want to say about yourself and your family. That's just hard.
What did you pick when you made yours?
I think mine was a cat because I'm not very creative.
I like that though.
I think mine was the silhouette of a black cat. I think. And
what
then
were
I
your
think I made
words?
one with, oh, I forget. I can't remember. I can't
I want to
remember. I
see
bet I
it
have
now.
it saved somewhere. I know I have it saved somewhere. I can't remember what it was, though. I have to look for it and find it.
Mine
I'm
was
sure
a
I posted it
cupcake.
to Facebook.
My sigil. I was really excited that they had a cupcake as an option on the generator thing.
You did one for a postcard that I actually have on my wall. That wasn't your personal one, but it's unspoiled and it's headphones and a mic. And I can't read what the words are because I'm not close enough to the wall. My eyes are really bad, so I can't remember what the house words are for unspoiled.
I can't remember what I did for that either. The house words for the cupcake one were dessert before honor. Which I stand by.
I think mine was something that was like a takeoff on the fucking Ironborn. Because theirs is we don't sew, right?
We do not sew. No contractions in house words for Sean.
That's right. So I feel like mine was something like that, but I can't remember what it was. But I think it was me saying something about some shit I just don't do. All right. So she meets these two guys, and they are also heading to Duskendale.
Correct.
And they insist, and I mean insist, that she stay, that she eat, and that they all travel together. And she's not interested in anything except maybe a little bit of food. She does not really want to travel with these guys. And they're like, well, I've made such as yourself. These roads are dangerous. She's like 1.5 feet taller than both of them and could fight them both at the same time if she wanted to.
They both do not believe it.
Her.
Yep.
This is so funny. They're just like, and so she finally is like, all right, fine. And there's this bit about I think she takes the first like watch.
Yes.
And she's just like there's really nothing going on here. There's nothing happening. And then when it's time for her to sleep, that's when she has trouble. She's not going to let herself go to sleep.
She says something about how she can never really relax around men. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that sounds right.
Yeah. It's and it says too, she says it's a lesson that she had learned beneath the walls of Highgarden, which I was surprised. I was thinking that it would be like something a little bit later on in life, because she also mentions like the brave companions as well. But what do we know about her time at Highgarden? Anything?
Very little. Yeah.
I wonder if that's the other thing too I'm looking forward to with these POVs is not just the search for Sansa, but getting to know more about Brienne.
Definitely.
So I'm excited about that as well. I love this bit too. She's just like, even if Sansa didn't, I don't think she did, because Lady Catelyn said that she was gentle. But if she did it, it was fucking Tyrion's fault.
I love that. She's just ride or die for Sansa.
She is. She really is.
I'm glad that Sansa has somebody like that, even if she doesn't know that she has them.
Yeah. That's the part too, right? Is this kind of like really bittersweet, is that Sansa is so alone in so many ways in this world, and feeling like she doesn't have anybody that she can trust. There's nobody that has her back just for the sake of it. Everything is transactional in Sansa's life at this point.
Yeah.
And yet, hundreds of miles, maybe even thousands of miles away, there is this one person who is solely focused on finding her and keeping her safe. Which, by the way, it bears to mention, what does that even look like for Sansa? Brienne, if you find her, where are you going?
Yeah.
Where are you taking her to be safe and well cared for, But I guess that's just the part of the plan she hasn't gotten to yet.
And the other thing that I think is kind of compelling is that Sansa's whole deal in the beginning of the story was her learning that life is not a song, and that knights are not honorable. And yet she has somebody looking for her who is a paragon of honor, but doesn't look like a knight that Sansa would expect or respect.
Yep.
And I'm really curious how she's going to react. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the idea that because the thing too, when you think about it, Brienne and Sansa are alike in a lot of ways.
Definitely.
That weren't apparent to me initially, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They both really grew up on the sort of legend and mythology of what it is to be a knight, you know. They both believed in it in a real way, you know, and modeled their own value systems based on these songs and these stories and this nobility and this strength and honor and like doing what's right because it's the right thing to do and all that shit. And everybody around them is constantly telling them, girl, get your head out your ass. This is real life, not those little stories, you know? And they have both learned by their experiences with abusive people how those stories that they grew up on are so flawed and not telling the whole story.
Right.
Brienne but their reactions to that knowledge that they've learned are different.
Yes.
We were watching Sansa, and this is slightly like based on some show character development, but we're also seeing Sansa kind of grow and learn, and kind of leave those values behind because they don't really serve her, right? She's becoming more of, I guess, what we would call like a realist. But Brienne is sort of doubling down into what her idea of what a knight should be is. She hasn't given up on that yet, right?
Yeah.
And her dedication to rescuing Sansa is an extension of how deeply she believes you are supposed to behave when you have honor. So it's just interesting to see how much they had, even though on their face they're so wildly different, right? Because Sansa is so beautiful and so skilled in all the feminine arts and all that jazz, and Brienne is like the 100% opposite of all that, you know?
Yeah.
But they really do have a lot in common in that way.
Yeah, and it's interesting considering everything with Jaime, how Brienne has seen it borne out that setting an example had an effect on him. Like, he changed and rose to a higher ideal. And
do you think that she understands that was her effect on him?
I'm not sure that she knows it was her effect, but I think she knows that it was a major change for the better in general, which I'm not sure Sansa would believe in anymore.
Well, Sansa is definitely becoming... I don't know why cynical is the word of the day for me, but she definitely is. She's definitely, I mean, I don't want to get into a comparison of who's seen the worst horror because, you know, that's really not about that. But Sansa has experienced, much more loss than Brienne has, you know, and has been through, I mean, Brienne went through a pretty gnarly time as well, but it doesn't, in my opinion, quite stack up to what Sansa has been through. Right?
Yeah, I have to agree.
So yeah, Sansa's had to learn to play a very different game, and we talked about this a lot too. All the time she spent in King's Landing, which is something that Brienne hasn't had to learn how to do. And a little bit of time she was in King's Landing, she did not care for it and did not perform well. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
You know, like she didn't have those soft skills that Sansa seems to have.
Yeah, Sansa has like a type of advantage because of her beauty and her youth. And Brienne has to use her position and her like actual physical strength if she can, which not every situation lends itself to that.
Exactly. You know, like Brienne might be fine on the road by herself and can take care of herself in a way that Sansa definitely could not. But then, you know, the flip side is Sansa can navigate spaces in a way to keep herself safe sometimes that Brienne simply cannot, you know, because she doesn't know how to play that particular game. So she spends the night, and then they get the next morning, and this is when they run into the Begging Brothers. What's the one guy? They are on their way to King's Landing. I don't know if we get a name of the man who's sort of speaking for the group, but he's speaking on behalf of everybody, and he's telling them that they are heading to King's Landing, and one of the guys that's traveling with Brienne offers them to the Begging Brothers. He offers to escort them for a fee,
which is hilarious, dude. They are literally called.
What? Thank you, because sir, and I think it's the one who's called the penniless is the one who's like, yeah, we'll do it for a price.
Yeah, maybe you're penniless because you don't have real good instincts on where you can make money, sir.
Right? Like everything suddenly became very clear.
Yep. He would buy Bitcoin.
Oh my God.
I was listening for a while to a lot of Scam Goddess episodes, and there were a few about people who like made up different, cryptocurrencies and just ran a complete Ponzi scheme for as long as they could, pretending that this was a real thing. And it is wild how people will literally have no proof that a thing is a thing beyond someone's word and drop their entire life savings into it. People had they're like, I have saved $100,000 and yes, you can have all of it. What are you doing? Oh man.
Something just happened. I wish I had more information about it. It was like a blurb, but there's something going on right now where somebody is being sued by the government for like a fucking Bitcoin fucking Ponzi scheme situation. And the lawsuit is like $3.4 billion or something crazy.
That sounds right. Yeah, some of these Scam Goddess episodes. I really recommend that show, guys. It's very fun. Lacey, who is the host, is really funny. And some of the story, it's fun because the way it's set up is that somebody does the research about it for her. So she has a guest co-host every time, and she will be reading the details of the scam and learning about it for the first time with her co-host and reacting in real time. And so it can be really funny where she'll just read something and then stop in the middle of the sentence and be like, oh my God. And then finishes the sentence and is like, oh my God, that's so bad. And it's just very enjoyable. So highly recommend. And most of the scams, they try and keep it so that it's like somewhat light because they don't, we all have a harder time with scams that take advantage of like the elderly or the already poor, but scams that fleece rich people, I mean, let's do it. Go ahead.
Scams that fleece, they get fleeced all the time too, and
it's crazy.
It's so crazy.
And the people who scam them get second and third and fifth chances because they pretend to have money. So everybody believes they deserve another chance because they have learned how to play this game. It's really remarkable. It's fun to watch them play the rich people game against rich people. You
have got to watch that Inventing Anna thing on Netflix. You don't have to watch the whole thing.
Oh,
it wasn't
right. I forgot about that.
I never even finished it. It was much longer than it needed to be. But like the first 3 or 4 episodes when, watching her build up and then get to the height of her scam.
Yeah.
Riveting television. Fucking riveting. All you got to do is meet one rich person.
Yeah.
You just got to
get a foot in the door.
You got to get a foot in the door, and then all you got to do is tell other rich people that you know that rich person, and then they'll be like, "Oh, you must be cool then." Apparently that's
Taylor's oldest time. Yeah. Yep. That was a thing way back in the day, when we're talking 1700s. people would like forge letters of introduction. And just be like, well, Sir Castigan of such and such, who is the Duke's brother of such and he knows me quite well. And here's a letter from him. And they could forge that shit so easy. And everybody'd be like, all right, well, clear.
Come and stay with us.
Yep.
Now you live here. You live here now.
That was the thing. They would just like open their home to people and just have them come and stay inside of their house, in their fucking house, guys. That's the shit that I can't wrap my head around is like literally so, like, you just taking a person to be part of your household.
And and it's not even like they're handing them actual money, but they don't really need it. Long as they're just in the proximity, they enjoy all the same benefits. It's like fucking Cousin Greg.
Oh my God, Cousin Greg.
You know? Yes. Like, you know, you're all of a sudden you're in helicopters because you know you need to get to the other part of the city, and who has time for a car, you know?
Oh my God, I forgot about this whole thing. But anyway, so if any rich people out there would like for me to use them to take advantage of the system, I would be more than happy to utilize your name, connections, and money to further my own ends. So get in touch.
I mean, it's really the American dream.
It is.
Unless you hate America, you'll definitely get in touch with us.
I mean, are you
otherwise
a patriot?
You hate America.
Or are you going to keep everything for yourself? That's really what I want to know. Do you love your country or not? All right.
All right. So he asked these guys, like, you know, we'll definitely get you there safely if you pay us. And they're just like, dude, read the room. And they're on their way to King's Landing. They have the bones of people who were murdered for their faith, and they are taking them to King's Landing because it is time for some fucking answers.
Yep.
You know, there's and he says that there's some things going on, some violence that is targeting people of the faith. Now, I don't know how true that is, but he's saying that they are out here raping and murdering septons. Even the fucking Silent Sisters aren't safe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, we've definitely seen some of that firsthand. Like,
that's true.
Coming across,
we have had,
you know, septs that have been plundered and whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. We haven't really seen it in action, but you're right. We have come across it and just been like, God, what happened here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they are going the wrong way. Our people are going to Duskendale. So they end up parting ways. Oh my God. I'm so sorry, guys. My eyes just traveled to the next page where somebody says, talking to Sir Creighton, and he says, I have big bones.
Yeah, because he's like, well, you know, a lot of people don't have big bellies these days because there's not enough to eat, but it looks like your guy over here is doing just fine. And he's like, well, you know, I have a glandular problem.
I had forgotten about that part.
And that is by no means trying to like dismiss glandular problems, y'all, but you know, it's one of those little like, I'm just gonna say thing.
Well, it's I'm big boned was like a thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm just big boned, and it's just I wasn't expecting to hear that here in the same context.
People used to say that shit to me well, you know, you're big boned. And I think about that these days, and I'm just like, God damn, you guys. No, I'm not. I wasn't even like, what do you? What?
You're like 5 foot, 6 or something?
Mm-hmm.
People just be saying anything.
Anything. Fucking anything. Wild.
Oh, Jesus Christ. So then they get to this inn. Oh my God. I love that one of these guys that she meets, they run into, before they get to the inn, they run into another set of travelers. And this is where we meet the Mad Mouse. He is traveling with someone whose name I do not recall, but he's like a merchant,
Right.
And he's got this Mad Mouse guy as his protection, and they run up against Brienne and her two guys. And there's a wonderful moment where right after the big bones thing, Sir Creighton is like, we can travel together, because three blades are better than one. And it's because he has just completely, like, not counting Brienne at all.
Not at all.
He's so certain that he's the one that's doing the protection that he's counting only himself, the penniless guy, and this new guy whose name is Shadrich. And Brienne is standing right there, better than all of them, probably.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. She was a challenge for Jaime Lannister. She's better than them.
And she just thinks to herself, oh, there's 4 blades, you asshole. But she doesn't say anything. And I kind of wanted her to say something, even though I appreciate why she didn't.
Yeah.
But
it just feels like a waste of time to do it,
Yeah.
Like, unless you're going to be like, all right, fight me right here, right now, then what's the point?
I also would have been here for that as well. But, so yeah, they all end up going to this inn, and she finds out that this Shadrich is also aware of Sansa, knows exactly who Brienne is talking about when she gives her little description. And this is when she realizes that he says, you are not the only hunter in the woods. That's what he tells Brienne.
Yeah.
And this is when she doesn't admit to him that's what she's looking for, but she doesn't have to. We know it. He knows it. She knows it.
Yeah, he does a whole like, oh, it's so weird. You're looking for this girl of this age, traveling with this guy. And I'm looking for somebody with a remarkably similar description to your cousin. I really hope nobody mistakes her for your cousin. That would be unfortunate.
That would really be terrible, right? Yeah.
So embarrassing. She feels like such an idiot.
And so then they get to the fucking inn, and I love that it's either Penniless or Longbow, but one of them has a tab running. Already owes the innkeeper money from the last couple times he was there.
Yeah, he comes in and is expecting like special treatment because he knows the guy. And the innkeeper's like, yeah, I know you, and that's why I'm not fucking giving you special treatment. That's the reason.
I just really appreciate how unself-aware this guy is.
Very much. He really thinks that he can just travel on his name when nobody has heard his name in their life.
He is throwing his name around like it's a fucking black Amex card. It's crazy. It's just like expecting me to open all these doors and give him backstage VIP access and all kinds of shit.
Have you watched Jury Duty?
I keep hearing about it, but no, I haven't seen it. I've seen a bunch of people say it's really, really good, though.
It's so delightful. And I'm just going to give a mild spoiler. James Marsden is in it. And he plays himself. Like he is the celebrity James Marsden who has been called for jury duty.
Right.
And the bit is that he loves himself so much and really like believes everybody recognizes him and knows everything he's been in and stuff all the time. So he's always doing the thing where he's like trying to preemptively be like, I'm not asking for special treatment. And people are like, why would we give you special treatment? And he's like, well, because. And this just reminded me of that so much. This bit he's doing of just really leaning into the entitled celebrity thing with the false humility, and it's just very, very fun to watch. He sucks so bad. So anyone who is looking for something that's like the bit for Jury Duty is that it's a case that is being tried, and they tell this guy that they are filming it and interviewing all of the jurors to document like the justice process in the United States. And it's just, a sort of random case they chose. But it turns out absolutely everybody is an actor except for this one dude. He's the only one who thinks that this is all real, which could easily be, it could easily be funny. Like kind of mean-spirited, but it is super sweet, and everybody is so like kind. And he is genuinely kind and so patient, even when people are like kind of trying to push his buttons a little bit. He just reacts with such grace and compassion all the time that all I could think was like, I would look so bad if they filmed me for this. I would look like such a bitch because I would not have time for any of this. And he is just, you know, it's a real type of person that you do this sort of thing to them and it makes them look really good. And it does. He's just always kinder than I think it's possible to be.
But the whole show is actually scripted though, right?
Yes. It's scripted in that it is, there are beats that they have to hit, but it's improvised in that they never know how he's going to respond to a thing, and they have to anticipate as much as they can and have things prepared to go in certain directions depending on the decisions that he makes.
So the guy that's not the actor, that part is real. He literally is just a real guy.
Correct.
Who thinks, oh, I didn't realize that part of it.
Yeah, he's just a regular dude who thinks he's really just serving jury duty.
For some reason, my news this morning did a whole bit on it, which is why I know about the James Marsden part. And they were interviewing somebody from the show, but I haven't known. Maybe it was a guy. Maybe.
It might be the guy.
I just assumed I have no idea why he was on my local news. No idea. But oh yeah, it looks cute. I'm gonna check it out. I keep hearing really good things about it.
Yeah, definitely. Owen and I just started it on a whim because we saw a couple people mention it, and then we got sucked in and watched all of it in 2 days. And it was just like, now we're like, how do they do this again? Because it's gotten so much attention. I don't know how they pull off another kind of thing like this without anybody being aware. But I say that because I'm in circles that talk about this stuff. I'm sure there are a lot of people who haven't come across
well, it's the same thing that we always say, like, how can you do another season of The Circle? Like, everybody understands the gimmick now. That's
true, yeah.
But then they managed to pull it off.
Yep, we had some people on The Circle this past season who had literally never watched the show in their lives, which is mind-blowing to me.
Mm-hmm. And then other people who were like super, super familiar with the premise and everything, and it still was really good television to watch. So.
Exactly.
All right, so they're in. She after dinner excuses herself, but there's a moment where they start talking about what's going on in the world, and they start talking about Jamie and what happened to him.
Yeah.
And rumors chewed off by a direwolf.
I don't know why that killed me so bad. It never occurred to me that like the way he lost his hand would become such a like convoluted,
right?
You know, but yeah.
I love it because it implies that somehow the Starks were responsible for him losing his hand, and we know that that's like, I mean, I guess in a super convoluted way you can say they were, if you go all the way back through Kate's decisions and all that shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was low-key kind of the Stark's fault that he lost his hand.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that the word on the street is just, nah, one of them fucking direwolves just ate that shit. Because, you know, he was fucking around with the family. And, you know, those direwolves, man.
Yeah.
You can't, they you know, they take protecting their family very seriously. So they weren't having none of that.
I'm thinking about it. And like, really, he lost his hand because he insisted on trying to escape Brienne, which is what got them caught by the Brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his own fault. It's not the Stark's fault. Shit would have been all right if he just like cooperated at all, but he couldn't bear to do that.
I mean, he could have not pushed Bran out the window and saved everybody all this trouble.
There's a lot he could have done.
You know, so ultimately, you know, it's his fault that he lost his hand.
Oh my God, I forgot. I just wanted to mention this one line because I found it so funny. It's one of those shade throwing moments that the people don't in the moment realize is shade. But yeah, when Creighton says shoot off by a dire wolf, and Brienne's like, it wasn't a wolf, he lost his hand. And Mad Mouse, or lost his hand to a Corric sellsword. It's no easy thing to fight with your offhand, observed the Mad Mouse. Bah, as it happens, I fight as well with either hand. Oh, I have no doubt of that. Sir Shadrick lifted his tankard in salute. And clearly what he is saying is, I'm sure you fight like shit no matter what hand you use. But he's like able to just mask it just enough. And I was cackling because I did not catch that insult the first time. And this time I was like, man, that was really sly. I liked it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, he's got a couple of good lines between the way he talks to Brienne when she's insisting that she's not looking for Sansa, and then this moment here. It's like, kind of somebody you might want to keep your eye on, because he's a little bit smarter than everybody else that's around him. It seems, at least in this moment. Of course, that's not. But look who he's surrounded with, so it's not that hard. But you guys get what I mean, right?
Damn. Damn.
There's this whole bit too about when she goes to bed, she keeps this Oathkeeper hidden, right?
Right.
She doesn't just wear that out for the world to see, which hadn't really occurred to me, but it's probably the better choice. And so when she gets into her room and she unwraps it, it's this real moment of like awe and veneration, almost,
reverence.
And reverence, yes. And just how important this job is to her, this promise that she made, how important it is. And she also is including Jaime as people she's promised,
Yes. Yeah.
So now it's like she promised Catelyn, she promised Jaime. She's got this guilt about Renly, not only Renly dying, but I had forgotten too that she lost Renly's sword.
So, I forgot about that whole thing. Yeah.
Right. So now she's got this other one, and she's fucking hiding it and being really careful with it and everything, because the pain of how she wasn't able to save Renly's life and then later loses the sword is just not anything she ever wants to repeat.
Yeah.
And she prays for success in her mission. She prays for like guidance, but really she's praying that she doesn't keep failing.
She puts so much pressure on herself.
She really, really does, and it is low-key heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And then she decides to bounce in the middle of the night, and I was like, that is the correct thing to do. Just go. She slips out in the middle of the night.
I always feel like too, people like this, it seems like everybody's friendly, but I don't know how long that lasts before folks start to crack their knuckles and look around and see what they can get,
Yep. The only reason I wasn't more concerned for her well-being is because I felt very, very confident that she could handle herself. This Sir Shadrick guy might be a little bit trickier, but ultimately I wasn't. I mean, you never know with somebody until you see him fight. But to your earlier point, we saw Jaime fight Brienne, and we saw how that went. Yeah. So I feel like even if this guy is good, he's not Brienne good.
Agree.
And her chapter ends with her sneaking out and just sort of reaffirming that she is on her way. She is not going to rest until she finds her. And that's what this is going to be. This is going to be her, dedicated to finding and rescuing Sansa. And I don't know, like, how it goes in the books. And I don't know how she reconciles if that never happens for her. Like, if she never actually accomplishes that goal. I don't know. I'm very, very interested in this storyline now. I'm wondering. I just really here for it. I can't wait to see what happens with her in this book.
Yay! All right, so then we go to Samwell, and Samwell is pouring through books trying to find information about the others, but he doesn't get almost anything even close to new information.
No.
When he reports to Jon later, it's all shit they knew already, and Jon is getting pretty frustrated.
Yeah. Sam has to keep reminding him, like, there's a lot of books.
Yep.
And
I can't just type
there's
into a search engine, sir.
Yeah, right. And not only are there a lot of books to pour through, but some of them you can't even read. They crumble in his fingers. They're so old.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been at this for a while. He doesn't even know how long he's been down here. He can't remember the last time he ate, and I'm pretty sure he has ADHD.
Oh,
I don't
for
know.
sure, for sure. This is a hyperfixation moment, ladies and gentlemen. When you look up and you smack your lips, realizing that you are completely dehydrated, have to pee really bad, and are lightheaded from hunger. Yep.
I also really enjoyed, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but sometimes when you do these things 2 chapters at a time, there'll be a little through line that you don't expect. And there's a mouse down here with Sam.
Yes.
And it just really made me laugh because we just had that whole thing with the Mad Mouse in the other chapter.
Oh, that didn't even occur to me. I like that.
So
and he's like, I should kill it, but maybe I'll just bring him some cheese.
The best thing he can do, he's so like squeamish that he's like, well, maybe if I just throw a giant book at it, that'll do the job.
Oh,
which no, it won't.
It certainly
but
will
then
not.
He can't even throw the book, like he drops it. And the noise scares the mouse and it runs away. And he's so relieved. Like you said, he's so relieved because he knows that he just doesn't. He couldn't have killed the mouse.
Nope.
He's not that guy.
If he did, it would give him nightmares for weeks.
Oh my God.
I love it. Because honestly, same. I'm not killing a mouse. I'm not doing it. Why?
Oh, I'm
for what
definitely doing
reason?
I'm doing it.
Like, nope. Maester too cute.
I'm not always successful, but if I see
if you're trying to kill a mouse, how do you try and kill it?
Well, that's I usually grab a broom. Thankfully, we don't have them here. In our old apartment building, we would get mice sometimes. We didn't never have a real big problem because we always have cats. But every once in a while, just being in an apartment in a near an urban area, mice are just going mice. They gonna do what they do. But and if I see one and I can get to a broom, it's a wrap.
But does that kill it, or are you just like ushering it out?
Oh no, I am wielding that broom like a bat.
Oh, okay.
And I am going for the head.
God damn, that's cold-blooded.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I generally don't, kill things, but I also like it. Yeah, no, I can't.
We all have our things that bring out our bloodthirst. For me, it's moths. I'll raise the ground. I want him dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burned to the ground. They're pollinators. I don't care. Let the earth die.
I always forget that moths are pollinators. Like, I don't even give them that respect.
Exactly. Fuck them. Absolutely.
That's really fucked up. Like, I completely erased that bit of information from my brain.
Because they don't deserve it.
I'll be out here talking about save the bees, save the butterflies. Fuck the moths, though. They don't do shit. That is not accurate. So he is, Sam is grabbing some books and heading on his way upstairs, and it turns out that some people are on their way to grab him because John wants him. And we have a little bit of some back and forth because I think it's is it Ed that comes and gets him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what does he say?
Ed and Pip and Gren are all together. And they're all a little bit salty.
They're like, John doesn't have time for us anymore.
Mm-hmm. You've changed, man. Money changed you. This is like the worst part in any like dance movie. Any movie about somebody like finding fame, there comes the point where their friends are all accusing them of changing and not remembering where they came from.
Yeah. I mean, I don't, and like when I was reading this at first, I thought they were just being like playful dicks. And then the longer it went on, I was like, oh wait, no, they really are salty.
Yeah.
I love this thing too. When they first tell him that John's looking for him, and Sam is like, John wants to see me, and Ed is like, I don't know. I never wanted to see half the things I've seen. I've never seen half the things I wanted to see. Like, dude, why?
Keep it under wraps, kid. Go get yourself a podcast and stop it with this. Nobody needs it. We're just trying to have a fucking back and forth answer question, please.
Every fucking time. He never fucking fails. And I love it. I don't mean to. I really don't mean to. I feel like if I would be a really bad influence on Ed in real life, because I would be absolutely encouraging this behavior, and he would be 10 times more insufferable because I would be egging him on all the time.
Oh my God.
Because
this is why we're friends. Oh my God, I'm an Ed. Jesus.
Nuh-uh, you're not an Ed.
I mean, I'm not an Ed. You saw last night what happened when I remembered the lyrics to The Dip. You guys weren't there, those of you listening here. But I had kind of a... I don't know what to call it. A fugue state moment where I was taken over by the beat.
Yeah. Basically, it was like you went to like an evangelical church, and you were taken over by the Holy Spirit of whoever performed that song. I can't remember who song that is.
Oh shit, Freak Nasty.
And you just got completely taken away, like your whole body. It was something to see.
You guys,
it's on video.
It is on video.
Yet? Yeah.
Oh boy. I think I may have recorded it because I started recording thinking we were going to begin and then we didn't quite. So I think I have the audio of it, but I don't think it gives quite the same impression as seeing the look in my eyes as I begin to panic.
No. You look like a crazy. It was like a part of your brain realized that it had been taken over and was powerless to control what was happening. So your eyes were like real big and manic. Like, you look like somebody that's been like kidnapped and they're like, but they can't talk, but their eyes are just.
Tell them we're taking care of you and you're being fed. I'm fine. Oh man.
Oh, all right, sorry guys, sorry. but it really was something to see. I wish you all had been there. I really, really do. And you could have been, because it was a free show. If you were doing Ray Bear with us, y'all all could have been there and you all could have seen it.
Well, I guess it's $10 up, patrons only, so it's not free.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot. The Ray Bear podcast is free, but the Crowdcast, you have to be a $10 patron. Which, I mean, in my opinion, that was completely worth the price. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. So, all right. So, Sam and these guys have some back and forth about what's going on with John. There's also this thing with there's this thing happening, I guess, with Val, and they're teasing Sam about it, saying you broke the heart of the wildling princess. I
don't get what's going on here exactly.
I was going to ask you. So they say that she there's this practice that John has everybody. John is also apparently working everybody to death, so people were like a little salty about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But John also has everybody practicing the crossbow, I think. And they're talking about how Val, who's still being kind of kept up in this, not a tower, but she's somewhere. Maybe it is a tower. And she just watches them practice. So for some reason, they have decided to tease Sam, probably just because it's always about teasing Sam. It doesn't really matter what or why.
Very much so, yeah.
it like the whole point is just to tease him and make him uncomfortable, and they'll just use whatever the fuck is at their disposal to do that. So they have decided that teasing him about Val wanting him, and I guess the joke is she's very, very pretty.
Yes.
And Sam is so undesirable, that's
the mere
idea.
Yeah.
But and also Sam admits to us that he's quite taken by how attractive she is, so that whenever he's near her, he's like flushed and stammering. So it's clear that, not that necessarily he has a crush on her, but that she's so pretty, he doesn't know how to be around her.
Yes.
And once they get an idea that that's happening, they're going to go for the weak spot. So it's one more thing for them to give him shit about.
I really this reminds me of the traditional bullying tactic of, we're going to pretend that one of us wants to date the nerd and then get their hopes up and then humiliate them and laugh at them for thinking that anybody would ever date them.
Yep.
Which I didn't ever experience that exact thing, but I definitely experienced literally just being friendly to somebody and lending them a pen and chatting with them, and their friend leaning over and going, he'd never go out with you, right? Which had literally never entered my head at all. And I was so mystified that he thought he was really driving the dagger home, when I did not find that kid attractive to begin with and did not care. But, it was a moment of realizing, I'm the type that they're going to do this to, though. That's fun to know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's not even about like that kid doesn't care if you really like his friend or not. He just has to make sure that you understand that he doesn't think you're attractive.
Exactly.
But he's gonna use whatever cover as an excuse to be able to tell you out loud that he doesn't think you're hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the my friend likes you, or hey, my friend wants to know if he can get your number, and then the friend, really protests because you're so unattractive. He would never ask that kind of deal. Yeah. That was a thing.
Ugh. People are garbage.
Yeah, being a teenager is no fun.
Nah. Except for the
super fun,
parts that are.
So I feel like eventually, after a lot of back and forth and complaining from these guys,
so much,
Sam makes his way finally to John, and he bumps into Gilly at the last second before he sees John, and she is distraught.
It's so interesting that you said Gilly, because I had thought we all agreed on that, and Roy Dotrice had agreed on that. But then it's just Gilly in his audiobook, this whole chapter only.
Is it really?
I am so sick of that damn man. I'll tell you what.
It's just out of nowhere. It's just Gilly now, he's saying?
Yep.
After all these other books?
Yep.
Wild.
Don't get me started.
What a time to be alive. And she won't really tell Sam what's going on. But she's got the news, I guess, right? This is what's happening. She has been in to see John. She has the news. She knows that they're leaving, and she's upset because she's grown quite attached to this other child that she's been nursing. And he gets in finally to see John, and this is when he just has nothing of value to say.
Oh, that sucks.
He has learned all of this information, but none of it is new.
Nope.
And it's a real bummer.
Yeah, and he makes John sit through all of it. I would have just rolled with, I'm sorry, I haven't found out anything we don't already know. But he doesn't handle it that way. He begins at the beginning and goes through every bit. And I was just like, you're really drawing this out in such a way that you're giving him hope that you're going to say something new. Just don't get his hopes up to begin with. Just tell him.
Yeah.
You know?
I think Sam makes a choice where it's almost like he feels like, well, I was down there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Can't come back empty-handed. I need to prove that I was down there really looking, you know? So also I should mention, I skipped over it, but when he first gets into Jon's room, the thing that Jon's working on is this letter.
Yeah.
That needs to be sent to Tywin. And basically it's begging for understanding. I know it looks bad. I know it looks like we're with Stannis, but that's not how it happened. What had happened was we were in a lot of trouble up here, drowning, and Stannis answered the call. And you know, with Night's Watch, we don't really get into the mix. Y'all know how we do. We just up here minding our business.
It's not like we didn't ask you for help. You could have also been here. Like, this could have been us, but you're playing.
Exactly, right? And Jon is feeling a way about having to do this letter, but it has been decided that this is the most efficient way to sort of keep the Night's Watch safe should Stannis lose and the crown wins and the Lannisters remain in power. Yeah. I also just giggled like a maniac because they don't know Tywin is dead.
Yes.
So there's all this like heavy conversation and all this consternation and these choices they have to make. And granted, there's still a Lannister on the throne and all that, you know. So that part is the same, but they are really talking about trying to appease Tywin.
Yes.
And try to word it in a way that he will understand and I guess respect, and that is not who they are going to have to deal with at all. They're about to have to deal with somebody that's a completely different animal than Tywin was.
Yeah, very much so. And also there's a I don't know, the energy of this, because at one point he's like kind of arguing with Sam, and Sam realizes that Jon is trying to convince himself, but he says something about, or he thinks to himself really, that they put out a call to all the Northmen to like join to Stannis's banner. And the silence was deafening. Yeah. Nobody responded except for one family. Yeah.
Yep.
And we don't hear their answer, but we know what the answer was based on the fact that we don't hear it. I think, you know what I mean? Like,
I think, Stannis gets one response that like joins him.
Oh, they do join. Okay. I thought that they had said no. Okay.
Yeah. Because, when they're talking about who has what, right? And they're talking about how the Lannisters have, their own Northmen already. They have, you know, Bolton and
Ramsay Bolton.
Ramsay, thank you. Okay, I was right.
Yeah.
I got like really fucked for a second. And then they say, but Stannis has the Karstarks. When they're trying to figure out like who is most likely to win in this war.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they say it. Okay.
Yeah. And when they are talking about when he first tells Jon what he's got like a letter to King Tommen, and then there's that moment where Jon is remembering about Bran and Tommen play fighting, and then says, "But Bran's dead." And we have Sam being like, "But he's not dead," right? And then
doesn't
that's
that kill you?
It really did. It really did. I was just like, "Oh, come on!" Like, I guess I get it. You promised, but also, come on. It's just you and him in the room. Nobody has to know.
Listen, this is what I'm talking about when I say that I don't like making promises. Because you make a promise with this, like, a certain situation in mind, but then you don't wind up in that situation, do you? You wind up in some other weird, fucking unpredictable situation that nobody could have seen coming, where it would be fine. It would be fucking fine. But you don't do it because you made a promise. I'm sorry, but there are times where that's supposed to apply, and there are times where we all know that's not what they meant when they asked you to do it. And I think it would have been fine. So, you know, if promises are important to you, don't ask me to make one, because I'm not going to do what you're wanting me to do. Just
And as is my way, I have forgotten exactly what the fucking justification and reasoning why we have to keep this such a big fucking secret from John.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know Bran probably had her, and probably Jojen. I'm gonna blame Jojen.
I'm gonna blame Jojen. Yeah, that feels fair because he sucks.
But I don't.
He's just boring and just always so solemn.
Right, and like if anybody is going to make somebody make a promise for like no real good reason, it's going to be him, right? But I'm sure when it was laid out in the chapter, they probably made it sound very reasonable to keep it quiet, you know, for their own safety and all that jazz. But the insistence that John must not ever know, is an entirely different animal. And I wish I could remember what their logic behind it was, but I don't know if I agreed at the time, but I want to go on record and say I heartily disagree now.
There are precious few situations where people make across the board promises that I think that's a good idea. And this is not one of them.
Yeah. So, all right, so we go through the others. There's no new information for that. And then we get to what's really going on in this chapter. John is going to be sending Sam, Gilly, and the baby, and then a couple of other people for protection to Old Town because Sam needs to go to the Citadel because he is going to be John's new Maester.
Mm-hmm.
And then I, just like John, was shocked at the response. I cannot remember, and I'm so glad I can't remember. I know that on the show Sam goes and does this, right? I can't remember how he reacted to the news of going to do this. Like I just don't remember how it went in the show. So reading this for me somehow was like the first time. And I was shocked at his reaction. I could not understand why he was freaking out. And then we find out what his father did. And holy moly, you guys, it's just the worst. It is the saddest thing. And I hate his father.
Oh my God.
I really do. I do not like this man. What a horrible person he is. What a horrible man he is. Oh, just awful.
Yeah, so he basically made Sam wear a choke collar, a chain, because he was like, oh, you want to wear a chain around your neck? I'll give you a fucking chain. And like locked him in his room and was manacled to a wall by hand and foot. And essentially, Sam has a moment of like almost dissociating. Absolutely. When John tells him you're going to go and be a maester, where it's a complete trigger and he begins to kind of have a panic attack. Absolutely. And John kind of gets aggressive with him because he doesn't understand the level of trauma that Sam went through with this.
Yeah. And you know what, the other thing too, because so the thing about Sam is that he's like always afraid of everything.
Sure.
Right? So when this happens, the first thing that happens is because John is like, you're going to go to Old Town. And Sam is like, well, that's really close to home.
Yeah.
Right? So he's thinking, oh, well, you're going to send me home. And he starts to have a panic because he's thinking about his father. Right? And then he says, you're going to take Master Aemon with you. And Sam is like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. First of all, he's entirely too old to be making a trip like this. Like, what is happening? What is going on? And John is still moving along with this conversation as if Sam is not melting down in front of him.
Yeah, yep.
So John is like, yeah, you're going to go to Old Town. You're going to tell your family that Gilly's baby is your bastard. And hopefully they'll take her in. And then Aemon is going to find... you know, if they don't take her in, we'll find her like a servant's job someplace else, right? And Sam is trying to process this information, and then his brain goes to a ship sinking first, and he starts to just freak out about like how he never would survive the voyage, the ship would sink, he could drown, and so it's like this slow buildup before we get to the thing
Yeah.
the real thing, you know? And yeah, when it comes out that he's going to like go to the Citadel and I need you to become my new Maester, those are the words that Jon has to say to finally get us to understand what's happening with Sam in this moment.
Yeah.
And then what Sam says out loud to Jon is, well, I can't do that because they make you cut up corpses.
Mm-hmm.
But in his brain, he says they make you wear a chain around your neck.
Mm-hmm.
If it's because he's flashing back, you know, it's a really, really hard thing to read. It's so awful. And I felt so bad for him. And Jon is looking like, I don't know what's happening here. And also like, I thought you loved this. This is like your jam, right? Isn't this your jam?
Yeah.
And Sam is in his brain. He says he doesn't understand. He knows that Jon doesn't get it, but he's like unable to explain it to him.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the part that makes me the saddest is like, I don't know if I feel like he might have been able to explain it, but Jon is very different than he had been.
Yeah.
So
the best thing. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just like, I don't know how much patience he would have for listening to it, even if it were possible for Sam to articulate it.
Yeah. You know, the best that Sam can get out is my father, my father, my father. Mm-hmm. And then he just says to Jon, I cannot disobey my father.
Yeah.
And then there's this moment, because he says, Jon, I cannot disobey my father. And then inside he's thinking, I said Jon, but Jon is gone. This is Lord Snow who faced him. Gray eyes, as hard as ice. And Jon says back to Sam when he says, I can't disobey my father. Jon's response is, you have no father, only brothers, only us. And it is not that, it's just such a sad moment because there's just this great chasm of misunderstanding between the two of them.
Yeah.
Even though they are such good friends, you know, and Jon doesn't mean to be cold or like, you know, unsympathetic. He just doesn't understand what's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
So he does this tough love kind of response, you know?
Yeah.
You're going to go, you're going to do it. You're going to obey me. And I'm also going to give you a command to never call yourself Craven again, you know? And then there's a conversation they have about, because poor Sam is still being like, but my father, if I put on a chain, my father. And then Jon is like, yeah, well, my father had the same objection when I chose a life of service. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry.
No, that's Aemon.
That's Aemon. That's Aemon. That's Sam talking to Aemon later because Jon just doesn't get any of what's happening. So, yeah. But it's just such a sad moment. So, yeah, then he talks to Aemon about it, and Aemon says his father had the same objections, but it was his grandfather who sent him
not the
to
same objection,
service. It's not, right?
Mm-mm.
Because they're still missing out the torture.
Basically, yeah.
And the trauma that Sam, dealt with. This wasn't just somebody being disappointed in a choice you made. You know, what happened to Sam was so awful, and that his father was so. I mean, I hate this man.
Yeah.
That he would rather send his son to the Night's Watch than send him to the Citadel.
Really weird attitude, right?
Uh-huh.
Like,
mm-hmm.
you did this to get him out of the way so that he couldn't inherit and everything. But that's also what happens when you become a maester, is like you completely leave behind your family. So you would have accomplished the same thing.
Yep. Which means that even though his father's assertion was that it was the shame of a life of servitude that he was reacting against, it was really just cruelty. Like you had two ways you could send your son, two places your son could go. You could send him someplace where he would have been happy and probably maybe thrive, possibly, you know? or you could send him somewhere that was just the complete opposite of everything that he was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you send him to that place.
I think it's like, I don't think you're wrong, but also the service that you perform at the wall is still martial service. So I think he sees it as more manly and honorable and akin to what is appropriate for like his son. You know what I mean?
I guess there's a part of me that doesn't really believe that his father for a second ever believed that the Night's Watch, that Sam would become like a soldier or anything of that.
I don't think he cared if he became one. I think he cared how it looked, what his son did.
I see what you mean. So you'd rather tell your friends, it's that thing. Oh, well, yeah, my son's up at the Night's Watch. You know,
exactly.
Versus, oh, my son's a nerd that works for Richard. You know?
Yep.
That's what it is. Like you want your kid to be on a football team, not a debate team.
Yep.
Oh, that's so gross. That's so gross. Fucking Isn't his name Rickon or Dickin, or what's his name?
Dickin.
The brother's name is Dickin, right?
Yeah.
I forget what the dad's name is. Fuck.
I feel like it's like Tybald. I thought it was a TY name. I can't remember.
I thought all the T names were Lannisters. But
let's see. I'm gonna look up what's Sam's last name? Samwell Tarly. Samuel Tarly's father, Lord Randall Tarly. Randall. Okay.
Randall. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are all going to head out in the morning. There's not going to be time for goodbyes. They're going to bundle up and get on the road. And
bundle up.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know why that's so funny to me.
And then, like, because this sort of disrespect of Sam is so widespread and flagrant and just rears its head at every goddamn turn. It's like he can't get a minute's peace.
Yeah.
He shows up in the morning for this ride, right? And the fucking first thing somebody says is like, God damn it. And then we find out that, I don't know if this is a joke or not, but what they say is, well, he made a bet that we'd have to drag you squealing out from underneath your bed.
Oh boy.
Well, do we have to do this at 4:00 in the morning? Like, what are we doing? Why?
In front of my salad.
Can this man just live? Fucking Jesus Christ. Oh.
I forgot about that part.
It just really, really made me mad.
I feel you though.
So they all get like loaded up, and there's a moment where Eamon almost like, remember that video that went viral? It's like a little girl and she's on the screen door and the wind blows and she goes flying like out of camera. Do you remember that?
No. Oh my God.
I repost it like every year because it's the funniest thing to me. She doesn't go like, she's hanging onto the screen door, like the storm door. And a gust of wind comes and blows so hard that she's hanging on for dear life. And she doesn't go flying off the door in the video, but the door swings with her hanging on it.
Oh my God.
Until they're out of frame. And then the comments were all just like, legend has it, the wind is raising her now. You know, that kind of thing.
Oh, internet comments can be so good.
Listen, I we have to keep focused, but I ran into the best fucking thread today, and it was so dumb, and it should not have made me laugh. Somebody literally just posted in a group I'm in. Seriously, was everybody really kung fu fighting? And then the fucking comments had me in tears. I laughed so goddamn hard.
I think I saw it was the tweet. Surely not everyone was kung fu fighting.
It was close. I think somebody like took it because this was like a post somebody made. It wasn't a screenshot, but they probably got the idea from that sort of thing. But yeah, oh my God, And it was so dumb, but I laughed so hard to that whole fucking thread. Sometimes the internet is just my favorite thing that ever happened.
There was a thread the other day that was another one of those, like somebody posing like they're a badass with a gun that looks like it's from the Revolutionary War. And everybody commenting like the serial number on that gun is 1. And that's the gun that Harriet Tubman freed the slaves with, and like shit like this. And I just love those. Those are so good. It's just such a nice, like, wholesome bit, and we can all get in on it, you know?
Exactly. Every once in a while, like a comment thread, everybody will just come together.
Yep.
And it'll be like just a beautiful moment when sometimes it's like the most innocuous stuff, and then sometimes it's like when the fucking queen died.
Yes.
And you just can't believe you get to be alive and witness this greatness. Like you can't believe your luck.
I was there when the memes were written.
So that's what I thought about when they were bringing Aemon down, because it got a little treacherous there for him for a second. And then Gilly.
Yeah.
She's telling Jon, this is what you're going to do. You are going to take care of that baby. You're going to make sure that he grows up good and strong and get him another nurse. And she tells him, don't you name him. Don't you fucking name that baby till he's 2 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And Jon says in response to her, as you command, my lady. And this makes her so angry.
Yeah.
I will admit to you guys, I'm not sure I understand exactly why she gets so mad, and it's bumming me out because I feel like I'm missing something important. But she gets so angry, and she says, don't you call me that. I'm a mother, not a lady. I'm Craster's wife and Craster's daughter and a mother. And I'm not sure what's happening here.
Why do you think anything's happening? What do you mean?
It just, something's happening. And is it because like I really don't know. It's just, like, I don't know when Gilly would have had any sort of interaction with anyone that would be called a lady in her entire life, with the exception of Melisandre, who is now at the Wall.
Right.
She wouldn't have met anybody at Craster's. She's been on the run with Sam for a while, and then she gets to the Wall. There's nothing but dudes there. So I don't know, like, she's got this idea of what a lady is, and she is taking like offense at that idea. I don't know. I
see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But whatever's going on, she is not here for it, and
No.
I will definitely not call her a lady, because she doesn't seem to care for it. So,
yeah, he thinks he's like giving her some respect, and she is not taking it that way.
No, not at all. And I don't know if it's maybe because and this is probably not even that important to anything going forward, but I just have to say I was really like kind of thrown by just this small little bit and just really curious about what's happening here, and kind of mad at myself that I feel like I'm not putting something together. But like maybe that was an insult at Craster's or something, you know, maybe there's something that like Craster fed them, or the way he talked about ladies or something that makes it such a almost like a pejorative, you know. She responds as if
I'm so sorry, Your Majesty,
you know, like, something like that, you know. But yeah, she's not here for it. So and they all hop in this little fucking. And I wish you guys could see what I picture in my head. I wish I had the words to explain to you what these contraptions look like in my brain. But they hop into them and get on their way. And fucking Ed tells Sam not to worry about your boat sinking because they only sink when I'm aboard.
Oh, Dolores Ed. What a classic.
I will never, ever tire of him. And then it just says they start talking a little bit about Gilly after the is it Wayne's? Is that these things that they're traveling and they have and Gilly in, and then their supplies in a separate one. After they get away a bit, John says that the first time I saw Gilly, she was pressed back against the wall of Craster's Keep, the skinny, dark-haired girl with her big belly, cringing away from ghosts. And he says, but it was not the wolf she should have been afraid of, was it? And Sam is just like, no, Craster was the danger, her own father. I guess they're still here because he's talking to John.
They're getting ready to leave, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They haven't gone.
And then John says she has more courage than she knows. Or Sam says she has more courage than she knows. And then John tells Sam, so do you.
I will say I do like John commanding him to not call himself a craven anymore.
I appreciated the sentiment.
Right.
What John was trying to accomplish. It just, for me,
the wrong time for it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was having trouble expressing what I meant, but that's exactly right. That wasn't what Sam needed in that moment.
Yeah.
Even if he has to do this, right? And I'm not saying that John needed to change his plan, right? But Sam needed to be heard by someone, in this moment, like to really hear what's happening, what's going on with him, what happened to him. And he really didn't get that from John or Eamon,
Yeah, definitely. Nobody, well, he can't articulate what happened to him. So how would anybody guess it? Because that's like so awful. Yeah. Nobody's going to just guess that.
Too. That's true. And the thing too is, as he's in that moment of trying to say what happened, but can't get the words out, and he's very emotional and all that. If the people he were talking to maybe had just shut up for a second, or ask like what's happening, what's going on, instead of assuming they understand what he's trying to say, which is what both John and Eamon do. They both assume they understand what Sam is afraid of.
That's true. Yeah, and
don't encourage him to express it or give him time to express it, or ask any kind of questions to make it even a little easier to get it out,
Yeah.
They just assume it's regular Monday through Friday, Sam being scared of shit.
Yeah.
So. I don't know.
You really grumbled there.
It's
not often I hear a genuine grumble, but that was one of them.
Yeah. I have to say, I was really a little. I felt really for Sam in this chapter, and I clearly I have some things going on as well. I might need to look at.
What do you think about John's attitude and the way his friends are like he's just being too fucking lordly, basically? Like after this interaction, do you think that that's true, or?
I think that it is unfortunate that John doesn't seem like, well, okay, so we know that John, I think we know that John takes all of this shit very, very seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of pressure on him right now, and he's also trying to save the Night's Watch. He's got them doing like construction shit, and he's got the training that we talked about. I wish that, and also maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome might be happening. Sometimes when
fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah, because one of the things that Sam mentions, and I can't remember why it comes up, but they have been looking in the records to see the youngest Lord Commander.
Right, yeah.
And Sam mentions that John is like not only is he not the youngest, he's like the 5th youngest.
Mm-hmm.
He's not close, he's barely in the top 5 of the youngest ever. So that makes me feel like at some point there was a conversation around like, has anyone ever been this young? Were they successful? How did it go?
Yeah.
That suggests a certain amount of like insecurity around this new position. What I can't remember is if Sam is looking into this on his own, or if Jon asked him, or if that was even made clear. That I can't remember exactly. But so you have that going on with Jon, and then you have the sort of feelings that happen when friends feel like they're being left behind that you spoke of earlier, you know?
Yeah.
That, oh man, you really changed. And I think, like most things, this tension between them probably could be resolved with a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, but Jon is in this position where maybe it's not appropriate to explain himself. So I'm using air quotes, to his subordinates, you know?
Yeah. That looks like weakness somehow.
You know, people say you're not supposed to do that. That it conveys weak, which I never really understood that, but whatever, I guess. So maybe he doesn't feel comfortable saying to them, you guys, I got a lot going on. This is kind of overwhelming. I didn't see this coming. And when he's yelling, low-key yelling at Sam about, you're going to go on this trip and go to Old Town and do what I say, one of the things Jon says is, look, you're the fucking one that schemed and plotted and made me Lord Commander. So you did all that. So you know, you're as responsible for me being in this position as I am. So now you have to fucking do what I say.
Which I did kind of see his point on that one. I didn't even ask for this. I didn't want this.
You know? So, but yeah, I really hope that whatever's going on between the guys and Jon, this sort of tension and resentment that seems like it's bubbling under the surface, I'm not particularly interested in that as a plot line. I don't really want to watch that. I don't want to watch their friendships deteriorate under the pressure of Jon being in charge, you know.
Gotcha.
That group friendship, even though, you know, they can be dicks and Ed is Ed and everything, I'm very fond of them. And I like that they are friends from the first days at being at the Night's Watch together, you know?
Yeah.
I like that they went through everything they went through and all managed, you know, not all of them, but they managed to make it back safely, you know? I don't really want to see that deteriorate. I might not get a say. That might just be what's happening.
That's true.
But, you know, but it's not something I'm looking forward to seeing if that's how that goes down. Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking about how this reminds me of like a lot of movies, and it's not entirely fair because, like, you know what I'm talking about with those kinds of movies? The one that I always think of is Honey. Do you remember the movie Honey with fucking Jessica Alba?
Not only do I remember it, but I saw that shit in the theater, y'all. I'm still mad about it. I still hold that. Anyway, yeah.
And it was the kind of thing where she's like a choreographer and she's doing stuff on a volunteer basis a lot, and then she gets discovered and she becomes really famous and she does videos for like Missy Elliott and stuff. And then her friends are like riding along, enjoying having the Gucci dresses and, you know, shit that she gets free from doing these videos that she gives away. And then all of a sudden one day, everybody is just like, well, you've changed. And I'm watching the movie like, y'all have been fine with the fact that she has changed as long as you got to be there for it. But as soon as she starts to put up a boundary and be like, I'm sorry, I have work that day and can't go to your thing, now all of a sudden she's just a bad friend. And it's like, well, you're getting a lot out of this also that you seemed fine with a second ago. And this is not exactly the same thing because Jon's friends don't seem to be getting a lot out of him being Lord Commander except for work. They're getting more work out of it.
And you know what? I think it's funny that you should mention that. But I'm glad you did, because I think that part of the resentment that might be going, even though I don't think anybody actually explicitly said it, is that they're like, yeah, man, where's our fucking friends? Where are our benefits?
Interesting.
We're your best friends. Not only are we your best friends, but we kind of low key schemed and got you this fucking
we
job.
got you elected. Where's our kickback?
Exactly. I think, you know, like, but all they got is more work now.
This lousy wall watch t-shirt. Anyway, so that's the chapters. All right, well, thanks for coming, everybody. See you next week. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say hi to new patrons first. Y'all know I gotta. because it's been 2 weeks since we recorded, and we've had a lot of on and off time because people's lives have been imploding a little bit, everybody. So just bear with us. It's been a bad time.
They really have.
Not going to get into it, but suffice to say, RoShawn had a real bad week last week and is still recovering. So, thank you guys for bearing with us on that.
I really appreciate you guys' patience and support. And thank you to everybody that reached out to me privately as well and in the group. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Love you guys.
Yay! All right, new patrons. We've got Katie, Aiden Fitzgerald, and Gary Whitney. So happy to have you all. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, for hopefully listening to some of the patrons only stuff, for perhaps you're here for the Harry Potter feed. Perhaps you're here just so that you don't have to listen to commercials. Oh man, y'all, taking that Harry Potter off of public hit my income for ads so much harder than I was ready for. It was just, I knew it would hit, but I was just not quite understanding how much came from that only.
Wow.
But I don't regret doing what I had to do. It's just like JK is just ruining things for everybody all over the place. But
ain't that the truth?
She is truly. But I really want to say thank you to those of you who are supporting the show. And, I understand that not everybody is able to be a patron. I totally get that. But if you're able to share links to the show, recommend it to people, come up in the comment sections and fandom groups you're in and mention it, tweet about it, whatever. Put me in your story for the day, a little reel of you listening to it, whatever. That is all just as helpful sometimes as being a patron, like depending on really not even how many followers you have, but just like the wheels of fate. Who sees it that day? What mood they're in when they see it? All of that. So yeah, there's all kinds of ways to support us. And I'm really excited to be getting into Feast for Crows. I really, really am. Now that we're like further in, I'm really starting to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about how this thing is going to happen. So I'm looking forward to this a lot. All right, everybody. Thank you all again so much for listening. We love you. Until next time. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Joffrey, Cersei, Walder Frey, Meryn Trant, Tywin Lannister.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.